G'day everyone, welcome to La Grava. Today I'm about to start my day. So what I'm gonna do is show you guys as a barista how I calibrate the machines to extract the perfect espresso for every customer. Hello everyone, my name is Frank. I run La Grava Cafe in Toowong, Queensland. Today, it's my pleasure, my friend and cinematographer, director, and producer Steve brought his gear and his setup to give me the opportunity to show you guys what I do as barista, as a shop operator in the morning before the first customer comes in. So in essence, I'll make sure the machine is in the settings I want, the grinder is in the correct settings, I get the right amount of the grind each time I press the button. I get the finesse level. I get the right extraction. I get the perfect coffee shot. In the later series, I'll show you how I do those calibrations. So in the morning, I try to establish the reference point. The reference point doesn't really vary much between day to day, but it's very important I remind myself what's the right shot I want to achieve. And throughout the day, as the day goes along, things change, weather change, temperature change, the bag of the beans we keep filling, we might have a newer batch. So we as barista need to adjust accordingly to deal with those variables to drag it back to the reference point or as close as possible in a timely manner, in a manageable frequency. So I sort of aim at every 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. So you can do it in shorter interval. You can do it every half an hour. Depends. If you suddenly have a thunderstorm, you might need to adjust it. If you open a bag of beans that's 10 days newer, 10 days later roasted than the last bag, you need to stop and make the adjustment before you keep serving your customers. Yeah, that's the introduction, and I'll start to do my job. Thank you. All right, so after we put the beans in the hopper, so what we do is we do a little calibration. So there's a portafilter settings, and the settings is from yesterday. So each day, depending on the time of the day, the temperature, the moisture, the age of the beans, you need to adjust accordingly to get the recipe. So what is the recipe? So each cafe does its own thing. For me, I follow the recipe recommended by Belbon and micro adjusted it to my own taste. So it's kind of a standard, but the most important thing is the consistency. So me as a barista, I have to make sure each shot, each extract is the way I want it. So it might taste great to me and it doesn't taste great to another person. But for me to give to my customer, I have to ensure the consistency. To do that, we need to calibrate. So I got this grinder at this fine coarse level at this time. And yesterday, towards the close time of the morning, it was great. So let's see how much I need to do the adjustment. So to do that, I use that. So I do a 0 calibration. So make sure this scale read at 0. And then I put here. And then I press the button. And then I put on the scale. And because it's the first grind of the day, I need to manually top it up. The read at 18 grams. It's not quite there yet. It's almost there. $23, so yep. So just top up a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so the next step is to put it to a tester shot. Okay. What I'm gonna do, 22 grams. So I'm just measuring 22 grams. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do a test around to monitor the shots. All right. The shot looks good. The shot looks good. Golden brown crema. And I monitor. It'll be a younger shot, but that's fine. Yeah, 26 seconds. Perfect within the range. Can I go longer? Yes, I can adjust this to go longer. I can go shorter, depending on the taste. But yeah, it looks good. Looks really good. It's kind of on the lower end, but that's expected because that's the first extract for the day. So when we look at the crema, we'll smell it, and we can weigh it to verify the weight. But from my experience, this looks right, the right volume. So you're aiming at whatever you put in the basket, the weight of it. So for me, it's 22 grams. So for 22 grams, a standard double espresso, I want 44 grams of coffee extracted. So I've calibrated the machine, and I usually don't need to change the settings on the La Marzocco machine because it'll be very little variation between day to day. The main thing is the grinder settings. All right, let's do another one. So press a button. Yeah, so it's a little bit under. So there are two ways of adjusting it. One is make it a little loose, so make it grind a little coarser. At the same amount of time, the way the grinder works, it will give you a little bit more extract. Another way is obviously increase the time. So given the time is the morning, the temperature tend to be a little bit cooler. So what we do is we put a little bit longer grind. So what I do a quick adjustment. A general rule of thumb is I only adjust very small step, one step at a time, and keep all the other variables consistent. So I don't change other settings. Perfect. So let's see. I haven't changed the grind size. I'm only change the time. Let's see. All right, this time I'm gonna use a small cup. I'm doing a second shot. I'm doing the second shot. This is the first one as a reference. This is the second one. So the flow is consistent. It's golden brown. Beautiful. Not too fast, no channeling, not too slow. So if you want to make a perfect coffee, like say perfect cup of cappuccino, you start with a perfect extract of espresso. So that's a second shot. Obviously the crema is the micro bubbles. The gases, mainly the carbon dioxide, trapped inside in the process of roasting of the beans. So it will stay in the beans, depending on the aging, it will slowly move to the surface. And once you go through the pressurized espresso machine, it will come to the top of the of the shot, and after a minute or two, it will settle down. So if we compare this to this, so the level is the same, but the crema is higher on the fresher shot. That's to be expected. So this time we got 31 seconds. What does that mean? So the longer extract, it will tend to be a little bit bitter. The shorter extract tend to be a little bit more sour. They are like a spectrum, and the sour and bitter are sitting at the end of the spectrums. So what you need to do, or what I'm aiming at, is to find the right balance for my beans to be the right amount of sour, the right amount of bitterness, and the great coffee smell extracted. So you don't over extract it, you don't under extract it. So that's just an essence of what I need to do. So as I said, depending on time of the day, the temperature will rise throughout the morning and to a pretty warm midday. So the beans inside the hopper will go through expansion, and it might rain later on in the morning, so the moisture will change, and then you have to adjust it accordingly to sort of, it will shift away from the perfect balance you set out in the morning. And your job, a barista's eyes, ears, and nose, are to make sure it goes back to the reference point. You drag it back by adjusting your hoppers, adjust your settings on your machine, and you make sure each of the perfect shot look like this: golden brown, the right amount of crema, and the right amount of balance between the sour and the bitterness, right? Obviously, the aging of the beans changes, so I get a delivery once a week. So at the beginning of the week, I'm using the last week's delivery. Towards the middle of the week, I'm starting to use the fresh delivery. So the difference between each week's delivery, the aging will have a big steps. Instead of a daily change of a smooth curve, when I'm switched between the batches, there is a steps. So I have to adjust that accordingly. So well, it's hard to put, it's hard to explain in a short time. So each bag of beans, they have a date of roasting. So the beans after roasting, it nature aging inside the bag and in the hopper and in your airtight container. So whatever you do, the beans will go through that natural aging process. Now, when the beans ready to be grinded, there is a level of the gas, the oil, the smell at how close to the surface of the coffee bean. So this is what you can't measure, you can't really see, but what you do is through the tester shot, you can verify it and you can taste it. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna taste this one. That's the first one. As expected, the 24 seconds shot from the first grind of the day is a little bit towards sour. Is 24 seconds under extraction? I don't think so. I think it's within the range. It's on the lower end of what I consider acceptable. And then 31 seconds is on the upper end. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here is to make it sit between, well, each barista is different. My choice for my beans is between 24 to 32. That's my range. I think between 24 to 32, I'm pretty happy. There's always be some people say, oh, 27 seconds is the best. Well, for me, I drink black coffee in the morning. For black coffee, I tend to like a little bit towards 24. For milky coffee, flat white, mocha, your cappuccino, your latte, I prefer 28 to 30. Yeah, but again, it's just my preference. Another barista may choose differently, but that's totally fine because taste is highly subjective. All right, that's a shot. This side is obviously our steamer. Gonna be a loud noise. And we're gonna do our milk. Grab a jug. Again, this is behind the scene camera. So I'm just doing a demonstration purpose. All right, so this is a shot. My first cup of the day, doing for Steve. So to do the milk, make sure you purge it out all the residual water content trapped inside the pipes. And then hold the jug at a 45 degrees angle. That is extra hot. Normally I aiming at the temperature between 65 to 70 degrees. For my customer demand extra hot, I like to use 75, around 75, yeah, upwards to 80. And then for a cappuccino, we want to put chocolate powder. The powder actually helps the foam to settle in, so it's perfectly domed. We're not doing any latte art. Later on, we might do a latte. We're not doing latte art for cappuccino. All right. This is the extra hot small cappuccino. Steve, you want to give it a try? So put this back. I'll do a latte. Right. So we get I can do it on this side if that's better. I can do it on this side. Purge to let the air, the moisture goes out. All right, for a latte, my right hand is setting the temperature. And silk smooth. So I'll try to demonstrate in front of the camera. So I'll try to get my finger out of the way. I use my right hand. You start with the middle, you break the crema, and you tap it. And then you can draw whatever you want to draw. And after you finish the latte, we're looking at the foam level. We're aiming for a range between half an inch to an inch and a quarter. So you don't want to go thicker than that. You don't want to become a cappuccino, and you don't want to go too flat and people think it's not foamy enough. So latte, it's all about the balance. It's about the middle. So for me, an easy indication is the top of the arc here and the middle. So the gap between the edge of the glass to the top of the arc, anywhere from the middle to the top, that's good. So this is the perfectly good latte. Or you can use a finger. It's about index finger. Yeah, that's correct line. All right. So we first zero it out. We use the same cup every morning, and we press the button. We're putting here 21 grams. So what do? We need to add a little bit more. $23. So for the adjustment we need is 22, and we need to increase the time, 22.6. 22.2, perfect. Get the basket, put it upside down, twist a little bit, remove it, and then push your finger. So what you do is to fill in the gap, but leave the middle a little bit dome is fine. Make sure you clean, and you tempered, and make sure the edges are clean and looks good. And put it on, and then you're ready to extract the shot. So we're gonna do a 2 shot here. Put these back. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. 28 seconds. That's bang on in the middle for a milky coffee. Golden, brown, full of crema, and settles down, and the coffee color is really good. More importantly, the smell is good. The smell is great. That's a perfect shot. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna do the black coffee side. So same process. We're aiming at 22. But the first grind of the day will be a little bit less. But that's okay. That's too much. Yep, perfect. We get the basket, we put it upside down, twist it, and then make sure nothing left inside. Yeah. All right, and then we push it, and we temper it. The pressure is consistent between days, so always the same amount of tempering, okay? And then we get the long black, Australian long black, water first. Let's see. A little bit fast, tiny bit too fast for my liking, but it could be the beans. All right, so we got 22 seconds. So 22 is on the very, very edge of what I call acceptable. But for a black coffee, the crema still looks good. I don't know if you guys can see it. The crema still looks good. for a single shot long black. I do single shot multiple times a day, so to give me more quota to for my own coffee to taste the beans throughout the day. So this is my first. We'll see 22. Depending on the age of the beans. Remember, the beans in the hopper are not exactly the same. Even you put them in the same airtight container, the bottom, the leftover in the hopper or in the grinder cycle, it might be a little bit more exposed to fresh air, so which means aged a bit faster. So as it grinds down, even with the same settings, the time will goes a little bit longer. It will extract a little bit more. Whether or not it's good, again, depending on the reference point. My job is drag it throughout the day to as close to the reference point as possible. But within a certain range, it's all perfectly good shot, perfectly good coffee. Yeah. And another thing is, after the extraction, you have a look. Is there big holes? Is there a crevice? Is there any indication of channeling? If it's not, then we clean the basket for the next time. All right. That's just an essence of what I normally do in the morning. This grinder requires very little adjustments between day to day. This one, as our main hopper, main grinder, it goes through a lot more beans, so it requires more frequent adjustments. But the aim of the adjustments, again, what's the goal? The goal is to make the shots as close to the reference point as possible. So you establish your reference point and you measure it and you consider the variables, you consider the changes gonna happen, and then you try to make it. You don't have to work every half an hour to make adjustment. You want to make every 2 hours, you redo this whole thing again. So, because it takes time and it takes precision, so you don't want to rush. You don't want to rush to do it. I always come in early. If the staff open shop, they always take their time to do it. We make sure our customer getting the perfect shots. Thank you very much for tuning in. That's all I got for this stage. We can talk about coffee. Come to join us on our YouTube channel or on our other social media channels. We can talk about coffee all day long. We are coffee connoisseur. Thank you. Bye for now.
Oh.
Right? So,
that's not bitter, that's smooth as silk.
yeah, yeah.
That is perfect.
It's like spectrum. So sour on this end, bitter on this end, and under extraction go that way, over extraction go that way. And if you turn it coarser, go sour, and then finer go bitter. Longer, more filling the basket, you go bitter. Less filling the basket, go sour. So it's many variables, and you have to pick the middle point. As I said, you have to have a reference point.
Yeah.
Once you establish your reference point, all I do throughout the day is to drag it back to the reference point.
Okay.
So as the temperature rise, so the basket will be underfilled, or even the hopper, the beans get less. It's gravity, right? So the beans get less. So I have to increase the time because it's gravity feed the grinder. So the less bean in the hopper, it will less fast filling the. So same amount of grinding time will grind less beans. So you get a little bit less mass. So you have to increase the time to give the right mass. So that's why you have to recalibrate all the time throughout the day. Sounds very complicated, but actually it's like part of the daily routine. It's not that not that complicated. Okay.
Man, that's good.
Stop.
That's the perfect cappuccino.
To do that, I have to do better, right? I have to do the perfect shot and perfect milk.